What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Black Ops 6. And in today's episode, we're finally moving into the shotgun category, and we're going to start this off with the Marine SP. And starting it off, let's talk about damage. Damage is interesting with shotguns. For every shot that you fire, you're actually firing 8 pellets. And Black Ops 6 uses a flat damage per pellet. However, the really strange part of it this time around with Black Ops 6 is even though you're firing 8 pellets per shot, it will only take damage from a maximum of 4 pellets. And what this means is it doesn't matter if you're hitting 5, 6, 7, or 8 pellets, you're going to be dealing the exact same amount of damage as if you only hit 4 of those pellets. Also, in the case of the Marine XP, in the maximum damage range, we have a hard clamp of 200 damage that you can deal per shot, even if you should be dealing more with 4 pellets multiplied by the amount of damage per pellet. So up close and personal, we're dealing 60 damage per pellet, meaning in that maximum damage range, you only need to land 2 pellets to get a kill. But if you're dealing with even more health, it is clamped at 200 for some reason, likely for Warzone as well as Kill Order where you have armor plates equipped, just so you can't get a one-shot kill on a full armored enemy. Then for every range after that, you can see the damage per pellet multiplied by 4 is what you're going to be getting for your maximum damage per shot. So with the Marine SP, we're capable of getting a one-shot kill in the first 3 damage ranges, and we will be looking at damage ranges in just a little bit, but before we do that, let's have a look at our rate of fire values. And with pump actions in this game, you can't fully trust the stated values in the detailed stats, and this is just due to the fact that they use separate values. They have your fire time as well as your rechamber time, and the detailed stats don't account for both of those. So the actual measured rate of fire in-game is 60 rounds per minute, which means our time to kill potential, obviously with one shot, that's 0 milliseconds. But if it does take a second shot, that's going to take us 1 full second, which is an extremely long time in Call of Duty terms if we're talking about being in an actual gunfight. As for rapid fire, this will boost our rate of fire up to 69 rounds per minute, giving us a 2-shot time to kill potential of 867 milliseconds. And with that out of the way, let's get into our damage ranges here. And like I said earlier, we're capable of getting a one-shot kill in the first 3 damage ranges, so that means it extends out to 9.7 meters. And again, at that point, you only have to land 4 out of your 8 pellets per shot in order to make that happen. And then anything beyond that, it's going to take you at least 2 shots to kill because it requires 6 pellets dealing damage to them. And again, only 4 pellets per shot are capable of dealing damage. And then our maximum hit potential with this is 25.4 meters. Anything beyond that, you literally can't deal damage with the Marine SP. Now, just quickly comparing it to the other shotguns as well that we've currently got in the game, you can see the Marine SP has by far the best one-shot kill potential. As expected, it's the only pump action here. Next, let's have a look at barrels that impact our ranges. And as you can see, with the long barrel, we get a 15% boost to our ranges, whereas reinforced barrel gives us a 5% boost to our ranges. And those are the only 2 that will impact range. After that though, rapid fire will reduce our damage range values by 5%, so nothing too crazy, but it will slightly harm our damage range. And then I also wanted to take a look at Dragon's Breath here, and I'm not going to get into too much detail with this. Just know with Dragon's Breath, your one-shot kill potential is harmed pretty drastically. It's now just 7.6 meters, and that's factoring in the burn damage that you get after the shot hits. And while we can technically hit our target at a longer range, out to 33 meters, we're dealing practically no damage at that point, to the point where it can actually take you more than like 6 shots to kill. So the reason I don't feel it's even worth diving deeper into Dragon's Breath is it's just not effective at all, and I would say stay far, far away from this. Now finally for this section, I do want to take a look at slugs, but I want to show a different graphic here so we can see the exact amount of damage we're dealing and also the hit areas where this is going to be a one-shot kill. Now the way slugs work is instead of firing 8 pellets, you're firing 1 single slug, which does have an infinite hit potential, unlike buckshot, and body multipliers really come into play here. Our maximum damage range, where we're capable of getting a one-hit kill anywhere but the lower leg, that's only from 0 to 2 meters. Then from 2 to 12.7 meters, you have to hit the upper torso, upper arm, neck, or head to get a one-shot kill. And then beyond that, it's going to be a 2 to 3 shot kill to the body. Our one-shot headshot extends out to 25.4 meters. But overall, the slugs are unfortunately not very good on this. I was expecting more out of the slugs. And as a result, I just wouldn't recommend using these unless you're playing hardcore game modes. And then even at that point in hardcore, you're probably better off just using buckshot and hip firing in the general direction of your enemy for easy kills. So there we go, that's a slug. Circling back to the base Marine SP though, let's have a look at our spread values. And our maximum spread while moving is 9.2 degrees, which is a very wide spread. Our minimum spread when we're standing still is 5.2 degrees. And our aim down sight spread, based on my hand testing, so there is some room for error here, it appears to be around 2.86 degrees. Maybe it's 2.9 degrees. Maybe it's 2.8, somewhere in that range. And what this means is if you're stretching your range out at all, you generally want to try to get aim down sight for that tighter spread to ensure that you're hitting at least 4 of those pellets. Next up, let's have a look at handling, and our aim down sight time is the slowest in the shotgun category at 320 milliseconds. That is fairly slow. Our sprint to fire time is also the slowest out of all the shotguns, but they're all pretty similar. This is just 200 milliseconds for our standard sprint out time and 310 milliseconds for our tactical sprint out time. And then for both our slide to fire and dive to fire values, these are actually noticeably slower than the other shotguns at 450 milliseconds and 500 milliseconds respectively. And those are very slow values, so if you're planning on sliding or diving into fights, you're probably going to want to use an attachment to help with these values. As for our reload times, it is a little bit different than most of the guns in the game. Since we're not just reloading a single magazine, we have to load each shell individually. And I'm going to be sharing the values assuming we don't fire all the way till empty. If you fire till empty, there's going to be an extra animation where for the first shell, you're going to load it directly into the chamber. So it will be slower. You generally want to avoid running this completely empty before reloading. And as long as you do that, it takes you exactly 1 second to load your first shell. And then for every additional shell after that, it will take 0.75 seconds. It's also worth noting, by default, we have a base magazine capacity of 6 rounds, but this will be affected by the barrel that you're using. Same with our reload times, kind of, it depends. Now with this, if you're using the long barrel or the heavy barrel, you get an 8 shell capacity, and the reinforced barrel gives a 9 shell capacity. And while all of these state in the cons section that they give you a slower reload time, this is just due to the fact that you have more shells to reload. The actual timings of your reload per shell are the same as the base with this. So 1 second for the first shell, 0.75 seconds for every shell after that. And then for both the combat barrel and the quick load barrel, these will give you a capacity of 4 shells, so lower than the base, but these give you consistent reload times where you'll get completely reloaded in 1.85 seconds for the combat barrel and 1.18 seconds for the quick load barrel. Now finally, when it comes to our movement speeds, these are all pretty standard for shotguns here. This video is running a little bit long, so you guys can just check them out for yourselves, but nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to movement speeds. And now let's get into some excellent attachment combinations I've got for you guys, starting with my all-around build. This is the one that I will be using in the vast majority of situations with the Marine SP. And with this one, we're using the modified choke for a tighter aim down sight spread, and I measured that to be around 1.6-ish degrees. We've got the long barrel on this to improve our range as well as our magazine capacity, the Ranger foregrip to improve our sprint speed and tactical sprint speed so we can get around the map and close those distances more effectively. We've got the combat stock to help with sprint out time, slide to fire time, and dive to fire time. And then finally, we're topping this off with the tactical laser. And the reason behind this is in tac stance combined with the modified choke, we get the tightest possible spread with this shotgun at about 1.3 degrees, which just means that you can comfortably get those one-shot kills all the way out to the maximum one-shot kill potential of this gun. Now with this, if you're up close, hip fire. If you're at a distance, aim down sight, or get into tac stance, aim down sights. And I just find this is the best, most versatile all-around setup to use with the Marine SP. However, I do want to offer some alternatives here as well. The next one I've got is my aggressive build, and I really geared this towards sprint out time especially, but also sliding into gunfights. With this, we once again have the modified choke, so we can get that really tight ADS spread if we want to aim down sight. We have the combat barrel, primarily to help with our sprint out time. This also limits our magazine capacity, but gives us a faster reload. We have the combat stock to also help with sprint out time. The fast motion laser, because this one's going to help keep our spread really tight as we're sliding. It doesn't help you if you're standing still, but I like sliding into fights with this. And then finally, we've got rapid fire, just so we can get that second shot out a little bit faster. And this one can be a very solid build. However, you are quite limited with that magazine capacity. So just the big thing to consider with this one. And then finally, even though I don't really like slugs on this, I do want to share a slug build for you. With this one, we've got the Kepler Microflex optic so we can line up that shot a little bit better, the suppressor so we can stay off the radar and there's no downside attached to this. Then we've got the lightweight foregrip, the agility stock, and then finally the slug itself. And with this, we've got a respectable aim down sight time because we do need to get aim down sight in this case at 270 milliseconds. And we've got some nice aim walking speed so we can strafe in fights at 3.6 meters per second. In general, I'm not a fan of this, but if you want to use slugs, this is a decent enough setup with the Marine SP. And with that, that's going to wrap it up today's gun guide on the Marine SP. As for my thoughts on this gun, well, I do think it is the best shotgun currently in Black Ops 6. That's not really saying much. The shotguns in this game are generally quite weak unless you're playing face-off. Sure, if you're in Stakeout 24/7, the Marine SP is going to be absolutely dominant. But in the regular game modes on the regular 6v6 maps, you're probably not going to have the best time with this overall. It's not totally unusable, but it's really just not that good in my eyes. Now, of course, those are just my opinions though, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this in those comments down below. And if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.